Legends, welcome back to another team preview from the Ruck Infringement Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Joey, the Prophet, and joining me today is none other than Mike from the Green Machine Pod. How are you, Mike?
I'm good, mate. Thanks for having me on. Much appreciated. Always good to get podcasting season kicked off and jump on a couple of other pods as well as our own.
Mate, absolutely pleasure to have you on. We are, of course, doing the Canberra Raiders preview tonight, so it's going to be very, very exciting. Of course, the minor premiers from last year. But without further ado, let's jump straight in to the ins and outs for 2026. Now, a couple of games. So we're going to start off with one that I'm really excited about, and I want to get your thoughts. Kobe Black from the Broncos, mate.
Yeah, obviously a little bit of a surprise when that all kind of came about, because that all that's funny actually. The guy who's going to end up at the Broncos, Jonah Pezzett, I'm actually a big fan of him. He actually played with my nephew in like under 16s up in Newcastle comp, and I'm actually a big fan. But from what I've seen, like, it's funny that Brisbane have taken this major turn from what they wanted to do. And, you know, they've just kind of flipped the script when Jonah became available, which I actually don't think is a bad thing for Brisbane at all. I think either way they would have been well suited either way, but they've seen a guy who's got a bit more experience, is a bit more proven, and Canberra have kind of swept in and taken the leftovers. I know that sounds dodgy, but this is a kid that's been highly touted. He just doesn't quite have that experience that Jonah's got yet. So I can understand what Brisbane are doing, but the Raiders have just lost Jamal Fogarty, and all their faith was in Ethan Sanders. And I'm sure we'll get to that too.
Yeah.
But now, what we've now got is two representative level young halfbacks who played for the under-19s, New South Wales and Queensland side over the last few years. And these are the guys who are going to be fighting it out for that halfback position for the Raiders. I'll be honest, I think it's probably more for the 2027 season we'll really see that. I think we're going to see a lot of Sanders play this year, and I like him as a player too. I've watched a lot of him in New South Wales Cup in 2025, but Kobe Black is certainly a very talented player. He can actually play six as well. So it's nice to have some depth in the halves, and it's just going to. I'm actually really looking forward to seeing how good he is, and kind of may the best seven win in the next couple of years.
Absolutely, mate. From all reports, he's an absolute gun. So it'll be really, really good to see. A couple other games here. Jaden Brayley comes over from the Knights. Not too sure how he fits in that team with Starling and Owen Paddy, of course. Sione Finau from St. George Illawarra and Dane Laurie from the Penrith Panthers. Good little utility there. Mate, let's talk some 2026 losses. Now, the big one, we touched on him briefly there, the halfback Jamal Fogarty. Heading to the Manly Seagulls. Mate, are you hurt with this one?
I'm going to be honest, I'm not hurt at all. And I think I think he is a genuinely great person. What he does well, he does very well. But I actually think the Raiders' success in 2025 kind of papered over a few cracks because they did so well. I actually think Jamal was actually better in 2024. His kicking game in 2024 was actually brilliant, and we didn't make the semis. I don't think. I think we just missed out. But in 2024, his kicking was accurate to a dime. Like, he was landing the ball 2 meters out from the try line every time and making it real. And that accuracy just wasn't there in 2025. And mate, young Matty Timoko cops a lot of grief, even from Raiders fans, about his defense. But my honest opinion is that problem starts one step in when Jamal Fogarty was biting off on decoys. I think he did it a lot, and I think he left Matty T out high and dry. Now, Matty Timoko needs to fix some things in his defense, but there's too many good centers out there. If you're left one-on-one or, with a bit of space, 10 meters out for your line, you're dead. So I'm actually expecting to see a big improvement in defense there this year, depending on the way that the Raiders go. There's it looks like Ethan Strange is probably going to switch sides. He plays more on that side naturally, but he only switched because that was Fogarty's preferred side, and he was the senior player at the time. So I'm expecting to see Sanders on the left and Strange on the right, I believe, is going to be the plan going forward. And we all know that Strange can defend. But again, one-on-one tackling and reading of defensive plays are two very different skills. So we may still have some problems there, but I'm not as worried about the Fogarty loss. I think Manly should be more worried about the Fogarty and Brooks defensive halves combination. Like obviously they don't combine together, but both known, one for misreading defense and one just from being a bit of a speed bump. So So I think we needed to move on. I wouldn't have minded having him for another year, but I'm glad that the club didn't they pushed to 2 years in the end, then Manly pushed to 3. And the Raiders just said, well, we're not going. We've got a future here. The Raiders only wanted to sign him for 1 extra year. So I think the Raiders' plan got shifted a little bit, but it just pushes it 1 year in advance, I think, because I think by 27, Fogarty was basically, I think the Raiders had planned to move on to Sanders by then anyway. And as we said, throwing Black into that mix, and we've got a real interesting situation moving forward.
Mate, absolutely. Look, some fantastic insight there. A couple of other losses, of course. Albert Hopewadi, he's gone overseas. Denny Levi as well. Trey Mooney to the Newcastle Knights. Basami Solo to the Knights as well. And Adam Cook. So a couple of fringe players there. Not really much to talk about, mate. Let's jump into our 2025 review of the Canberra Raiders season. Now, obviously, a pretty good year when it came to regular season, minor premiers. First time in a long time. Very, very exciting. But, mate, take us through, obviously, how you felt at the end of the year and what you liked about the 2025 season for the Raiders.
It's actually a very interesting one for me. I think the Raiders need to be better in 2026 if they're going to be a contender at all. I think they've got the players. I think they've got extra experience. They've got depth. They've got everything you need. And I'm sure we'll get to 2026. But my point was, this is almost sacrilegious, I should say, as a Raiders fan, because we've had a bit of success, and I think Raiders fans don't like to admit the frailties sometimes. But I think we were one of the least dominant minor premiers in recent history. If you look back over the last few years, you've obviously had the Storm have done it, and they just win every week, and they win comfortably. The Panthers were just winning every week and winning comfortably. The Roosters, when they were up there, up towards the top, if they were, I'm not sure exactly of which teams were minor premiers, but even if I'm thinking premiers, a lot of them were dominant throughout and just winning week to week without issue. The Raiders on 5-6 separate occasions had to come back and win the game in the last 5 minutes. That's, if you take 10 points, 10 competition points from 5 wins off those games that may have gone another way, and then probably not even top 4 at that rate, but I mean, because you look at some of the and brilliant memories as a fan, but you look early in the season, the Raiders knocked off the Sharks literally with 2 minutes to go. They scored a try. They had the miracle in Mudgee against the Panthers where Cleary hits the post. When does Cleary hit the post? He ices those moments so often. What else? I'm trying to think, because there's the Melbourne game at Magic Round where Melbourne just could not ice a game in terrible conditions, and they gave a couple of penalties away instead of winning the game. There was 3. Trying to think, there was a couple more as well. There was at least 5 of them that we literally pulled the game out of the fire. And even in games that we were kind of dominant, it took us till about the 60th minute to be dominant. even against some lesser sides. Like I think there was a game against the Rabbits that they got a 12-0 point lead, and then we came back and we came home strong. But I found that we weren't like every game, every week, the win was still in doubt, and that's not a dominant minor premiers. So glorious year for the Raiders, some glorious wins. It was actually such an exciting year to watch them play, but I don't think they were dominant. I actually think they were probably the least dominant minor premiers of the last, I don't know, 5-6 years at least. So they have to be better. The good thing for me is I think they will be.
Mate, quick stat. They were the first minor premiers that wasn't the Roosters, Storm, or Panthers since 2012.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely insane.
And you look at those teams and what they do in the regular season. Like when the Roosters were at their strongest, like they just won every week. Like, and you knew it. You knew they were going to win every week. Like same as the Storm. And the only time they didn't is when they kind of played each other, you know, like you just knew they were just going to get it done.
Exactly.
So, so that's my honest opinion. And that's something I think the Raiders will be aware of that as well. I think they'll know that they pulled quite a few games out of the fire, and they'll need to be. I think they need to have a few more bigger wins this year and just basically win the 80 minutes, not 60 or
Yeah, for sure. 2025, they finished with 148 positive point differential and 44 points, playing 24 games. So fantastic stuff there. Minor premiers, for me, look, I was impressed with what I saw from them. I had a bit of egg on my face. I was one of the people calling that the Raiders would probably be bottom 4 in 2025. Just early on, just the signs. I looked at the experience that went White and Whitehead, and I just thought, I just don't know if Strange can lead this team. Ethan Strange was absolutely incredible.
Can I jump in? I'm going to say this is that. I picked the Raiders to make the 8. I didn't expect them to make top 4. I didn't expect minor premiership, absolutely. But what people didn't see is, like I said, they lost Rapiner, they lost Whitehead, and who was the other one that they were anyway? Whiten. They were and Whiten as well. Like and Whiten, I think it was the year before.
Yeah,
but what people fail to understand is Whitehead was done. Like he was actually more like, and I don't mean like club legend, but he was slowing down. He was, in fact, his last year, it's like he just pulled it together to play, because it was actually not his last year at the Raiders that was a problem. It was actually the year or two before that I think he was struggling. And there was also guys like Jared Croker who couldn't quite, like was in and out of first grade even. And so people saw this dearth of experience leaving the club. But realistically, they haven't quite been, well, they weren't the same. Whitehead went over to England, and I think he hardly played out a season. Whiten's been at South, and I know, and he tries hard at South, and I'm a fan of Whiten, but he's been up against it in a couple of really injury-plagued sides. So, but he tries hard, but I still don't think that we've seen anywhere near the best of Jack Whiten compared to what we saw in Canberra. And then, as you said, guys like Ethan Strange, who was a superstar. Like this kid is going to be. Yeah. My only concern for this kid is that he might have to, like, he's origin ready. The only thing is he might not get that 6 because we might see a Cleary and Moses combination. Other than that, he's the guy that should be there. There's no other 6 in the comp that I think should be that New South Wales 6. And so he's an upgrade. He's an upgrade. We lost Rapana. Tamale comes in and he's a beast. Like, like we see young blokes getting their shots. And look, I think because I watched a lot of junior grades, and when you sign, like I knew we got Tamale from St. George. I started watching him. I saw what a lot of these kids were capable of. So I didn't actually expect that. I didn't think there was going to be a fall off. In fact, I actually thought we were probably on the rise. And whereas everyone else was like, oh, they're going to have to be rebuilding for 3 or 4 years. I'm like, no, I don't think so. Because the guys they cut, They were actually they were right at the end, like they were still like, I don't ever want to disrespect guys, but like, because they're first graders and they've had great careers. Actually, like Rapiner was one of my favorite players of all time. I think he's actually highly underrated in NRL history. And Whitehead, captain, had an amazing career for us. Like in 2016 to 2019, like an absolute stalwart and weapon. But he was at the end.
Yeah.
He was at the end. Anyway, so I thought the youth was good. It was just a case of if they would gel, but I don't think it was. I think the experience lost was actually probably a positive thing to let these new guys with a lot of talent come through.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love the emergence of KO Weeks as well. I think when he came over from Manly, a lot of people had question marks. Can this kid perform? The kid is a freak. I mean, the speed he possesses, even to be able to kick a field goal and whatnot, like he had a great year as well. So him and Strange, I thought, were fantastic in 2025. But, mate, let's jump into a bit of Supercoach now. You're not much of a Supercoach guy yourself. I'm going to go through a couple of players and a couple of price points for people if they're looking at getting Raiders into their side. Now, I will tell you, I have one premium Raider in my side to start off with, and that is your boy Hudson Young. Let's quickly get into the Raiders here. Canberra. Hudson Young is the most expensive player for the Raiders in Supercoach. He's at $754K in the second row. Now, I've paid premium for him because I know what he can produce, and I know that with Hudson Young, if you just give him the ball 10, 15 meters out, most of the time he'll score a try or he'll get a great offload for someone to score a try. So, look, he is a fantastic option. If you're playing Supercoach and you want to stack your second rowers, look for him. I think he's a great option. I think Dave Fafita's a great option this year. But, mate, Huddy Young, what a player.
Oh, incredible footballer. Like, obviously, New South Wales, Australian representative from Canberra, and it's hard work to get reps from Canberra, like historically speaking, anyway. But he is just so, as you said, I think you're spot on. If you're looking for stats to like, I vaguely know how these competitions work. Like the more nice things that they do, the more points they get, the more you win. But
that's right.
Offloads and try assists and tries are all great for those stats. And he's a point scorer, Hudson Young, and he will find it. Man, if only you got extra points for doing it in big moments, because then he would absolutely be the guy, because he's pulled us out of the fire a couple of times.
Yeah, he's a fantastic player. He's a starter straight in my team. The next player on the list, Joseph Tarpany, front row, $702K. Now, I haven't got Tarpany this year. I often do start with him in Supercoach, but I just think this year I've got a few front row options that are some cheapies coming through there that are going to look like they're playing 65 to 70 minutes. So I'll start off with cheapies, but he's a great option over that Origin period. Obviously, being a Kiwi international, doesn't play Origin. So if you are getting to that Origin period and you're looking for a quality front rower, jump onto Joseph Tarpany. But I want to move down the list to a guy we were just talking about before, Ethan Strange, 5'8", 610K. Now, I had him last year. He got me a bucket load of points. Again, he's just got that attack. You can always throw, if you're a betting person, you can always throw Ethan Strange in for an anytime try scorer because he just knows how to find the line, mate.
Yeah, like he's so strong. Like he's actually, he's everyone you hear who meets him who hasn't just sees him on the field, they go, I can't believe how big he is as well. Like but he's just a freak. Yeah. He is a freak of a player. He's actually, I think he's the Raiders' next superstar. Like, he's an absolute, like he's got footwork and he'll also just run straight over you. And yeah, he's the whole package, this kid. So look, I'm not surprised that he's worth looking at.
Yeah, for sure. Moving down the list, another guy who was very popular last year, probably not so much this year, but Tamale, the man you mentioned before, centre wing, $547K. Now, last year he came as a cheap option. He was fantastic at the start of the season. Everyone had him in, major bucket load of cash there. But at $547K, probably missing the boat in my team, only because in my centre wing, I do have those cheapy options to gain the cash again. But the next option I want to talk about, KO Weeks, fullback, $535K. Definitely interesting there for KO. Now, the fullback position in Supercoach, we have what we call a flex position now. And a flex is sort of, you can put any position there, front row, second row, whatever you want. But you could literally have 3 fullbacks if you wanted to. It's not a bad option, and he's probably not a bad player. We know the speed he possesses. Mate, is he fullback this year, or will he play in the halves at all? You think he'll just stay fullback?
He is 100% our fullback going forward at the moment, and he's doing it so well. He's like you touched on him before. He's such a success story because, to be honest, he kind of came down to the Raiders trying to get a first grade spot. He's the Raiders had invested quite highly in a young bloke named Chevy Stewart, and he just eclipsed him.
Yes.
His speed was incredible. His ability to find a gap was incredible. And he's honestly one of the great success stories of last year. And I hope he can continue it. He's going to be on the tip sheet this year, which is going to be very interesting to see if he can, but the point is, he will burn you with speed. If he sees half a gap, he'll be through it before you can do anything about it. So plenty of line breaks in KO. So I think he's going to have another big year, I reckon.
Yeah, he's definitely a pod, not very widely owned at the moment. So if you are looking for a point of difference player, get KO Weeks in. I'm going to move down the list to a new signing for you guys, Sione Fainu. Now, centre wing, he comes in 361K, which is pretty cheap in SuperCoach. Now, if he does land a centre or a wing spot, I'm definitely interested, mate. He's a good player.
He is a good player. And for the first time in quite a while, we'll be looking at some depth. Like, I was actually really concerned with our depth at the Raiders in the outside backs last year. We just didn't we had Jed Stewart coming in, and Jed did a job, but he's not super fast. He's not super strong. He's not the guy to bring the strong carries. So he's not a stats guy for this kind of thing anyway. But Finau, and the other thing is going to be interesting. I'd actually be really curious how this is going to work with SuperCoach. The new 6-man bench is going to be interesting because I reckon we might see a bit of a rotating bench, and I think Finau will get one of those spots. But I think you'll probably rotate with Dane Laurie in that spot. But it'll be interesting to see. But it's interesting because these guys might have more chance to prove themselves at an NRL level this year because they'll be in the team more often. Just takes one HIA, and then all of a sudden the outside back gets called in, and it's so easy to do. So I actually really like that new rule, by the way. I think it's I think with the ability to lose players so easily, I think you needed to extend that bench. I know some people are against it, but I'm very curious how that's going to play out this year because I think Finau will get one of those bench spots.
Yeah, it was really interesting. I quickly, to go off SuperCoach for a bit, I was hearing Matty Johns talk about it today, and he spoke about, saving your fourth interchange for, 15 minutes to go and bringing on a player. Like, let's say it's a Trey Fuller who's on that 6-man bench, and, you go, okay, game's in a balance here for the Dolphins. We'll bring on Trey Fuller, who we know has tons of speed and comes on and absolutely burns players, and they win the game. So it'll be interesting to see how teams play it, whether they do that, whether they wait for that last interchange so that they've got the option to use a player like that. But, those players probably getting 15, 20 minutes, maybe even less than that, depending on what they use it for. But no, it's certainly interesting, mate. And it's going to be good if he can land a spot because I'm very, very interested in getting him in my team. Mate, the next player I want to talk about who we are hoping is starting, and pretty certain he is, but Ethan Sanders, halfback, 246K. He's an absolute cheapie. A lot of people have him in their teams at the moment. Mate, do you know, is he starting for the Raiders?
He'll start. One, Kobe Black a couple of weeks ago had a neck injury, I think a nerve injury in his neck. So for anyone who's injured, he won't get that much of a preseason. He's still, I think he's running, but they had an opposed session the other week, and he was still in the training year, so he wasn't doing any contact yet. As far as this is speculative from photos that we've seen, on social media posts and stuff. But my understanding is that he hasn't been cleared for contact yet, Kobe Black. So Sanders is the guy. Here's the other thing. I think he might be a very good buy because watched him very closely in New South Wales Cup last year, and the Canberra Raiders side in New South Wales Cup weren't world beaters, but that had nothing to do with Ethan Sanders. Like, he was doing everything a good halfback should be doing, taking on the line, good kicking game. But the mistakes in that side, I think his forward pack kind of let him down a little bit, and he never really got a chance to shine. But you just watch the way he plays. He plays like a halfback that's ready to attack the game. And I think once he's got a quality side around him, I think we're going to see Sanders play very well.
Will he land the goal kicking duties as well?
That's an interesting question. Yeah. Now, my understanding is that he is the guy, that's the way they're going to go, because he is a goal kicker, but we don't have any shortage of goal kickers in the Raiders side. Like, I think there's about 4 or 5 guys that can kick goals, including Josh Papali'i, if you watched the Souths game last year. But like slotting them from out wide. But I think Sanders is the guy. If not Sanders, I think it'll be Strange. But I think the idea is Sanders, but I can understand if the coach doesn't want to put that extra pressure on the kid coming into his first full season. So my understanding is from the talk is that it will be Sanders, but if not him, I think it'll be Ethan Strange.
If it is him, it makes him even more juicy for SuperCoaches. You do get points for converting, so it would be even handy. Mate, the only other player I want to touch on is the man we just mentioned, Kobe Black. Now, halfback, 201K. If he does end up getting the halfback spot, he's very, very juicy. We don't think he will, obviously, based on Sanders at the moment. But again, we're unsure. We haven't even seen a ball kicked yet. But they are our SuperCoach options for the Raiders for this year. Obviously, you can pick any option you want. I am not an expert, but that is just some of my advice for SuperCoach in 2026. Don't forget to check out our comp, the Ruck Infringement Podcast Cup, which is running. You can use the comp code 693809. I'll throw it in the description. Take on me, the stats man. Dongle's in there too. I believe the international cricket sensation is running around in there as well. So a couple of my co-hosts, I think producer Reese might give it a run as well. So come and take us on and check out our good friends at SC Rings to win a championship ring as a prize. So pretty special stuff. Mate, we're going to jump into some players to watch now. This can either be a rookie or a player in the 2026 season that you are excited to see run around. Mate, can you give us a player to watch?
100%. We just talked about him, Ethan Sanders. Like I said, I'm very impressed with what I've seen from him in the way he takes on a game. He's one thing that's that Fogarty didn't have that Sanders definitely has is a running game. Sanders has also played a fair bit of 6 as well, but he likes to take on the line. So I expect him to do that. So I'm actually expecting big things from the kid as soon as he's got a good supporting cast. He'll probably start very simple. Like, he'll be coming into this side and he'll be there to do a job. He did actually something similar when he played the Roosters last year. Came in, Fogarty was out, and actually set up a try. Like, just did his job. Played well, but just did a job. But I think that's how he'll start. But I think you'll see him get better and better as the year goes on. Also, the fact that he will have had a whole preseason with the side to prep, I think he'll be something very special. So I think the kid's going to be good. The other one that I would probably really look forward to seeing, there's actually a couple. There's a couple. One I don't. One, it's actually both wings. Like, it's both wings. We've got Tamale, who unfortunately had his season half kind of cut short. He ended up coming back, but he didn't look quite the same when he came back. He looked like he was still kind of getting confidence back in after doing a major injury. And and if he gets back to his tackle busting best, and he's also on the side, he's on the better attacking side, or he's on the left side. He was last year anyway, and that's where the Raiders' attack is probably at its best. My problem with the other one is that he's not on the left side, and I think he should be. I think Savage should be on the left side. I don't think we've seen the best of him. I think the kid is a phenomenal player, but I don't think he's getting the right ball. I'd like to see him with a bit more of an open field approach, able to go and hunt the ball a little bit. We've seen it a little bit in the game. We've seen exactly what he can do when he was apparently going to be the fullback. Kay Weeks has come in and done a great job at that, so he's not taking that job anytime soon. But once Savage, see, Savage is way more than just pace. His footwork is so electric. When he can cut you up the middle, he can do, but he needs more ball, and he needs good ball. I find that he's not getting it on the right hand side, but I'm really hoping there's more plans this year to get him more involved, because I think the kid's a freak.
I love it, mate. Two fantastic options there, mate. Players to watch for me now. Obviously, when I played footy, I was a forward, so I don't talk about wingers or backs too much. But I might mention this man, and you touched on him a bit before, Matt Timoko. Now, Matt Timoko, we know he's a representative player for New Zealand. We know what he can produce. I'm in the same boat as you. I think he is set for an absolute blinding season. We saw what he did a couple of years ago. I think he was in the 20-odd tries a couple of seasons ago and looked absolutely electric. I think he can get back to that form. I really do. He's a big boy. He's got speed to burn as well. I love seeing Matt Timoko in open space. It's absolutely marvelous to watch.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate.
So I was going to say, you're right. He's such a powerhouse. He's not the tallest center, but he's just a powerhouse and so hard to stop. I think he's in for a big. I think he needs to be in for a big year, because I think there's pressure on him.
For sure.
Like I said, he copped a lot of criticism last year for being on that weak defensive side. I'm not going to put it just on Fogarty, because he's not at the club anymore, because Timoko had his own defensive issues, but he's already come out in the preseason and said, look, I understand that was an issue. We are here to fix that and remedy that. But I think once the defensive side is worked out, the attacking side will just work itself out, because you give that kid ball and he can make people look silly. He's got footwork, power. He's kind of like, he reminds me kind of like a Matt Utai from back in the day. Like he's just just that power close. That power close to the line is so hard to stop. And he's just, and the Raiders are full of players like that. I think Seb Chris is really underrated. I wasn't always his biggest fan. We've talked about it on the podcast many times. I think he actually changed his game a little bit, and it's made him one of the better players, like quite underrated, I think, as well. The Raiders side, they were minor premiers for a reason last year. The side is stacked.
That's right.
There's no real weaknesses, and they got depth. I mean, the biggest challenge is there's a few other really stacked sides this year as well.
Yeah, look, it's an exciting time to be a Raiders fan. It's going to be very, very good in 2026. Mate, before we jump into the ladder prediction, where you think they're going to finish, what are you hoping for 2026? What are your hopes for Raiders?
Mate, my hope every year is to do better than the previous year, to show that they're building. Like I remember when Ricky Stewart came on as coach, I think it was 2015. It was either 2014 or 2015. And I think 14 was a bit of a shocker. And then 15, we missed the semis, but we looked like we were getting better. And I think we just missed the 8, 16 top 4. And then, had a dip. But I like to see the club building, and they look like they're building again. They did it they did it up and leading into 19, and they were good for a couple of years there. But I think they're building. So the goal is to be better. If we don't win obviously every team wants to win the whole damn thing, but minor premiers last year was a pretty damn good regular season, but we fell short in the finals. I think it's a bit, everyone loves to put the boot in, out in straight sets thing, but the game against the Broncos was one of the most epic semi-finals of all time. Do you know what I mean? Like they won that game 3 times and had it pulled away from them. And you're looking at a completely different history if that goes that way. And unfortunately, after such an epic game like that, like 90 minutes or whatever it was, and to have to back up again the week after, they were cooked. And then Ethan Strange pulls out on the eve of the game, this future superstar. Like it might not have mattered anyway, because I think the Sharks were actually in some pretty red hot form. But I think the Raiders 2025 was sealed when they lost to the Broncos in that epic thing. But for me, it wasn't a failure, because they took the eventual premiers, to the absolute brink. And it was only a bit of luck and a foot that touched a foot to keep the Broncos in the game. Like I said, they won the game 3 times and had it taken away by the bunker, which again, all correct decisions. So I'm not complaining. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
inches in this game, So I don't see that semi-finals series as a failure at all. But this year, I'd like to make the prelim. That would be a massive success for me. If they are at very least win a semi-final. But prelim's probably got to be the goal, with the premiership, obviously the larger one.
I love it, mate. I love it. Well, speaking of a prelim, let's talk ladder finish. Where do you think the Canberra Raiders are going to finish in 2026?
I'm going in very positive. As I said to you a bit earlier, I said to you a bit earlier that the Raiders will need to be better, and they were one of the least dominant minor premiers in recent years. Like I said, the fact that we kind of took that title off only three other teams that had it for so long is pretty cool. But they have to be better, but I actually think they will be. I think they've had time to look where they had their weaknesses. I think they're going to be more disciplined in defense. They have to be if they want to be a threat. If they're not, then they've done nothing. If they haven't improved that, then what are they doing? Because that was still the glaring weakness in the side. But if they fix that, I say top 4, and I'm gonna finish them on 3rd. I think there's a couple of sides that are going to come back strong. Well, I think the Panthers are going to be back. Like, you saw what they did after such a terrible start to the season, and they also just missed out on the grand final as well. They'll be back. They won't think their dynasty's finished. Just because they didn't win it 1 year, that doesn't mean a dynasty's over. If they win it again this year and they've won 5 out of 6, and then a prelim in the other one, and there's no reason for that to be finished. And I think the Broncos will be 2nd with the Raiders 3rd. That's I think that's how it's going to play out.
Yeah, mate, I love it. Look, you've convinced me. I've actually got the Raiders scraping into the top 8. I've got them 8th at the moment, only based on, as we spoke about before, some of those teams that just look very, very good this year and just untried at the moment. With Ethan Sanders, don't know what the makeup is going to be there. So until I see some more, I might change my mind there. But at the moment, I've got them 8th. I just want to see how Ethan Sanders, Ethan Strange connect, how those combinations run. Even if Kobe Black does get a run, it'll be interesting to see those combinations. So at the moment, scraping in the top 8, but I love the top 4 shout. I think everyone's got a soft spot for Canberra. And if you don't, then you don't get rugby league. So, mate, let's finish off with some last words. Now, I want you to fire up the Raiders fans for 2026, mate.
Wow, okay. So I need a pep rally. Like, I'm pumped for this year. Like, honestly, you don't win a minor premiership, and realistically, we've gotten stronger. We've picked up more young guns coming into the side. We've become a destination that people know that this is a good side. All of a sudden, all the people that were writing us off last year, at very worst, have still got us in the top 8. That's not too bad for a side that was predicted to come in the wooden spoon position. But it says it on my shirt, mate. We may never lose again. We may never lose again. That's what I'm expecting from the Raiders this year. We are going to hammer this year. Like, the side is so good. It's got depth. It's got speed. It's got power. The forward pack is being rated as the best forward pack in the comp by people, who know. It is every chance of being an incredibly exciting year. We don't have the travel schedule that we had last year. There's no Darwin game that we did. There's no Magic round for the Raiders even this year, so we're not giving up a game then. There's clearly no Vegas game as well. So all that travel that we did, for the first time, I think, in a long time, they're playing a full complement of home games at home. So that's an advantage for them as well. And more than anything, they know they'll be stinging from that exit last year. They'll be absolutely stinging. Know that they took the premiers down to the absolute wire, just missed out. They're coming for the cup. they're coming for the premiership. This is a side that wants to get it done. So they are coming for the premiership. And as the fans, we need to back them and follow them all the way in.
Mate, how can I follow that? I've got absolute goosebumps right now. Look, I'll just say this to Raiders fans. I'll just say, up the milk. Going to be a great year for the Raiders. Get behind your team. Get down to GIO Stadium if you are a local in Canberra. Get down there, support your club. It's always great to see the fans out and about in the cold suburbs of Canberra. So get down there, support your team. And yeah, I want to see as many Raiders fans out and about as you can see. But look, that's all we have time for our team preview tonight. Don't forget to check out our great sponsors at Gibson Country Style Jerky. Best jerky going around. Check them out, Gibson Country Style Jerky on Facebook and Instagram. Order yours today. If you use the code podcast, you'll get 10% off as well. So head over to Gibson Country Style Jerky and check them out now. But until next time, I'm Joey. That's Mike. Be good.